Alright, welcome back everybody. I know it's been a long time since I've done a Kerbal Space Program video, mostly because, well, I don't know why. I just fell off the bandwagon and decided to do other things. According to the views and whatnot, those other things didn't exactly work out. So we are back to Kerbal Space Program, and down here you can see 0.23. And we're actually going to start a whole new one here. So I'm going to plop it in here, YouTube 23. And I'm going to go over the new science changes and stuff like that. There have been a lot of big improvements that prevent spamming of science and stuff like that. All the buildings are still the same. Spaceplane hangar, vehicle assembly, launch pad, tracking station, research, and astronaut complex. If you come here to the research station, you should all know what this is. We've all seen it a bajillion times. Nothing really has changed much. A couple things in here got moved around. No big deal. What's new though is this. Here we can see everything that we have studied and found. That way we can keep track of what we have and what we don't have and how much more science we can get out of something. So, what I'll do is leave here and we'll do our very first launch. Everybody knows the basics of the very first launch. It's a very simple rocket. How simple I want it to be, that's a different thing. I do have deadly reentry installed, so that's why there's these heat shields. As you know, they don't, if anything, it just makes the game harder. All the basic stuff is still here. Just go like this to get that thing pointed straight up because it looks better. It's actually angled in a little bit, that's cool. And we'll just do a basic first launch. We all know how to do this basic first launch. I just like to show off and do a little bit more than what most people do on their first launch. Because I'm a show-offy person, I guess. Boom. 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 I think I can do that and that. That should work. As far as actual stability of this thing goes, that's a whole different story, and we'll see how that goes. Now we gotta set up the stages. So, click down here. Those two are going to be in that stage. Those two are going to be in the bottom stage. That one's going to be in the bottom stage. That one's going to be in that stage. That one in that stage. And then actual rocket. I always make too many stages. Okay. And that should get us into orbit, if not out to mid-miss and back. I don't think we're going to be able to do the whole mid-miss and back thing, but we'll do it anyways. YouTube tutorial number 1 for 0.23. Save it and launch it. And that lovely loading screen we all love so much. I did improve my loading speed times, as you can see. Immediately turn on SAS, so we stay, launch that, and this should do pretty good. As you all know, staging with these lower end rockets, it's a lot more difficult, especially since stuff like that happens. And I'm watching my surface speed here. There is a certain speed that I do not want that to go below. What it is, it's going to be a mystery. I'll let you guys figure that out on your own fuel efficiency trial runs, and I think I just screwed that up. Nope, got it. Alright. Make sure I'm throttled up to blast off the last stage. As you can see, those are blowing up way before they overheat. That's due to deadly reentry. Heat values have changed. So it is a little bit easier to do these stagings and everything. And I am fighting to keep this thing where it needs to be. Because there's very little torque and power And I'm not making any power either, so keeping this thing in line is not an easy business. I'm going to go ahead and do a crew report real quick here. Blah, blah, blah. You can transmit for 3.5 and or you can recover it, so it's easier just to transmit that thing. There it goes. Got electric charge pumping back in now that we're on this engine. And now we start our normal ascent pattern. Since we're above 10,000 meters. Come here. You can see we get a much different temperature reading and everything like that. We also got temperature reading here. The faster we go, the higher that goes until we get out of the atmosphere. Friction, shock heating, all that fun stuff. Okay. Check my map here, see where we are. You've all seen me get into orbit a bajillion times. Like, it's, at this point, if you guys can't figure out orbit, just go back to some of my original videos and learn, because it's really probably the easiest thing you can figure out in the game at this point. There's not much else out there that's any more difficult. So, come back down to ×1. Let's see if we can't get our periaps with the fuel that we have. We should, I mean, this rocket's definitely fast enough. And light enough. We just gotta break that 2,200 meters a second speed there. Looking at fuel, we are looking pretty good. I do want to save some fuel for re-entry. And with deadly re-entry, re-entering is actually going to be pretty interesting. Okay, what do we got? 56 and 86, so let's warp up to the 86. I don't want to get much higher than that because of the deadly re-entry and all that kind of stuff. I added deadly re-entry just to make the game a little bit more difficult for myself, because honestly, I've found little ways to do just about anything in the game. Then there we go, we're in orbit. Now I'll show you a big change in science and everything here. Get an EVA report. Oh, it looks like EVA reports also give you 100%. So we'll keep that data. And we will board back in. I'll have to show you guys the change when we land on the surface and take a surface sample. Alright. Looks like we're done in orbit except for the crew report, which I'll keep. I don't feel like transmitting it and everything. 5 science for the crew report, not bad. Looking at fuel, I might be able to... no, we're about stuck here. We can't go up much higher or anything. I would have to add more SRBs and stuff. Excuse me. Alright, so bring our periaps down. Now with deadly re-entry, I'm going to be very careful on how I use aero braking. Because if I come in too steep, I'll heat up too quickly and my craft could explode. Right about there. This pod does have a built-in heat shield on the bottom, and it's the only pod that does. Anything else you have to add a heat shield to. So now that we got that, we're going to warp in here. Do it as quickly as I can for you guys. I'll also show you how all the science that we just grabbed shows up in the science archives bit now. I'm sure a lot of you know what it looks like now and all that, but it doesn't hurt for me to show you guys what's going on. We're coming in. Still pretty high up. No extreme heating going on yet, but as you can see, the temperature is rising. And here, right now, you can see that it's starting to rise quite quickly. I'm at 4 times right now, so it's rising 4 times what it normally would. But that's still a pretty quick temperature increase for us being at 45,000 meters above the surface. Alright, we're actually starting to get into the thicker atmosphere now. Once we break down below 30K, we will be hitting shock heating and stuff, all that kind of fun crap. And you can see that now it's actually heating up. Alright, check the temperature. These guys, they're not looking too happy. If I drop this down a little bit, we should be able to even it out a little bit better. And it looks like nothing blew up, which is fantastic. And we are down below right about now. It'll drop out the parachute. And I might deploy it a little bit earlier by sliding this up. I'm not sure yet. Actually, yeah, I will bring that up to... Actually, I have fuel. I can do powered braking, so I'll drop that down to 350. And with the parachute out and everything like that, I can turn off SAS and get some powered braking in here for us. Make life a little bit easier for Jebediah there. Alright, now I'm really gonna start burning. There we go. Full deployed parachute, and we are dropping at 12.1 meters a second, which is still a little bit faster than I think this can handle. It doesn't say right here for us, so I'm not 100% on that. Once we land, I'll take a surface sample, bring it back. With the surface sample, I can also show you how they nerfed the transmission of science. Perfect. And then it's going to drop. Even better. Broke it into nice little pieces that make life real nice and easy for me. See if I can pop this up like that. There we go. EVA. Space select go. Take a surface sample. Now here at the bottom you can see there's a bright blue and then there's a little bit of extra blue. That's as much science as you can get from a surface sample at Kerbin's grassland if we transmit it. Now if we recover it, we get this green bar. If we recover it a second time, we get what's left of the green bar. So we're definitely going to keep it because transmitting only gives us 25% of that 9. So we're definitely going to keep it. Grab board up here. That was back in 0.22. You can mouse up there and click recover vessel. Here we got all of our science, 35 in total, which is, you know, definitely not what I'm capable of. You've all seen me what I am capable of. I mean, it's nothing crazy. You can buy science stuff as normal. You all know what's going on here. What does this come with? Big SRBs, bigger engine, smaller engine, landing, parachute. Did this give us stack decoupler? It did. So, landing on the mun or whatever, we kind of need that. And, yeah. And here in the Science Archive, if we select Kerbin, we can see we got 3 biomes. Water, grassland, and shores. Those are the 3 things we did science around. We did an experiment, a crew report, while flying high over Kerbin's shores. Flying low, it's the same thing. All 3 of these are the same thing. Go back here, and we can see all the science. We can see that we can get a little bit more from recovering from orbit. So next time we do an orbit launch and land, we'll finish off that and get its max value. Surface sample from grasslands, we can do that one more time and get a little bit more science as well. And that applies to any and all things except for crew reports and EVA reports. These 3 will give you 100% whether you transmit them or keep them or recover them. It doesn't matter. They're one-shot things. These you have to repeat to get max science out of. And that should cover it, just about everything. Oh, tweakables. I completely forgot about tweakables. I kind of showed it for you with the parachute there. Let's see if I have any extra stuff I can throw in here that would give us some tweakable value. The engine. I can limit to how much thrust it puts out, which if you're making something that kind of hovers, or you want a really good landing craft, something like that, that actually helps out a lot. These you can also limit them, and you can adjust how much fuel is in them. So if you wanted just a quick little puff out of there with high thrust and everything, that's the way to do it, and it will keep the weight down. Lowering fuel lowers weight, all that stuff. You can also adjust the fuel in these tanks. Drop that down, whatever. So if you want to make a space plane, but you wanted to use these tanks, you could zero out the oxidizer and save all that weight. Parachute has a minimum pressure for deployment. So if you want, you need a half atmosphere before it will come out of the basket there. And then you can select what altitude it will fully deploy at. If you don't like waiting and you have a very small landing craft, I suggest probably something like 300, because it'll go down at its max speed down to 300, then do a final deployment. See what else we got. We can adjust how much electric charge it starts with. The monopropellant. When you go on EVAs now, it uses monopropellant on the Kerbals. So their jetpack fuel is no longer infinite. Let's see if stacked decoupler has any. Nope, stacked decoupler doesn't. See if I can find anything else that would have. Of course, the radial mounteds have the same sliders. Landing struts, you can start them retracted or deployed, and you can lock the suspension. So they can either be the gummy things or the rock solid things that were in the older versions. You can do the same thing with the antenna, I'm sure. You can start it deployed or whatnot. Nope, actually you can't. Goo canister, what kind of things? Nothing. And I think that's it. Of course, if I had them here in aerodynamics, the flaps and stuff, you can tell them what controls to respond to. You can make it so it only responds to Q and E, or only W and S, or only A and D for yaw, pitch, and roll. So you can adjust all that so your planes can actually be more stable, because if you remember in the older versions, if you had vertical stabilizers on your tail, even when you're doing W and S, the pitch controls, that flap on that vertical stabilizer shouldn't do anything, but you'd see it still move trying to help with the pitch control, even though it does nothing for anything. Landing gear is now steerable. Don't have that yet. I mean, I could jump into a sandbox real quick and show you, but landing gear is now steerable, so you can unlock the steering on, say, the front wheel only, or all three if you're daring, all that kind of stuff. What else did we get? I think that just about covers everything. As you know, loading speeds did increase quite a bit, and I also dropped off keythane and Kerbal attachment system, increased my loading times. I do recommend getting this deadly reentry. It adds a whole new factor into playing and everything that soon actually squad's looking into adding. They're calling it the air friction patch. But yeah. Alright guys, until next time, I hope I explained everything well enough. Put in the comments if you want some more explanation on other things. I definitely know my stuff here, so go for it. Shoot me random questions. I'm sure I can answer them. And until next time, guys, you have a great one.